All right, everyone, it looks like a clerical error, a mistake. Trust us, it was a mistake. I don't believe that even remotely. I'll explain a little bit more about that in a minute. It looks like Julian Assange is being charged with crime by the U.S. government, which is something that some people in the Trump admin signaled they were generally unreceptive towards as an idea. It looks like they were trying to keep it under wraps, but whoops, cat's out of the bag. You see, what happened is that they had a separate court filing, charges filing. Wasn't supposed to include Julian Assange's name, but they accidentally copy-pasted it in there, and so they revealed the fact that indeed the U.S. Intends to charge him with one or more crimes. Specifically, one of the passages that appears aberrant within the context of the filing, which was supposed to not mention Assange, mentions extradition causing like media uproar and too much attention to keep it confidential and stuff. So it's rather funny. Now, first and foremost, somebody did this on purpose because these legal documents have to be ironclad in their wording, and so they're checked multiple times. It is impossible that Assange's name was copy-pasted in several times, twice, and that multiple individuals looked at it and it wasn't discovered. No, you know what I think happened? I think that whoever typed it up probably did that on purpose and then deliberately posted it without it going through further checks. I think that person probably is a patriot. You should give him the Medal of Honor for trying to save Assange from spurious charges. First and foremost, I condemn this in the highest terms. I don't think he should be charged with anything. What did Julian Assange ever do that's any different from what CNN and Fox and all these other groups have done? So that leads me to my second point. Number one, I want to hear the entire legacy media declare that this is wrong, declare that it's against it, and stand for Assange. Because otherwise, you're really fucking yourselves. Because if you undergo any investigative journalism, and I know that's more and more a rare occasion for these corporations, you've basically done the same thing. You've released information that the government has tried to keep under wraps that was fed to you through various third parties for years and years. Even the most corrupt among you still does it occasionally. It's just you don't do it as often now if it's about a Democrat, ultimately, or a never-Trumper, because you've got such a stick up your ass about the president. And secondly, and it brings me to the other point, I want to hear Trump weigh in on this. Trump, do you believe that Julian Assange should be charged or not? I want to hear no weasel words and no lawyer speak because it pisses me off. I want to know from your own lips, on Twitter or in a speech, it doesn't matter where you deliver it. I want to hear, will you stand up for journalistic freedom within the Western world, for the concept of the First Amendment, or are you going to throw that aside? Now, I'll tell you, unfortunately, I think the latter is likely. Not because Trump himself is a fan of charging Assange, but think about it this way. There is one unfortunate circumstance here. If he tries to pardon Assange, or commute Assange, or simply comes out and says, hey, no, I don't think he committed a crime, all of those corporate media idiots who are on the more Russia bullshit will immediately say, look, we know Julian Assange is a Russian agent and the Mueller should look into this, blah, blah, and it'll take years and years to get anything done. Trump would be long out of office even if he gets a second term before anything would be resolved, and Assange by then will probably be dead. He's apparently not in the greatest of health. I think that it's already a farce. He's already essentially in prison. He's been essentially in prison for years. I don't even think they let him use the balcony anymore. They took away his internet privileges at the Ecuadorian embassy for an extended period. He has no human contact of any meaningful kind, not even contact with legal defense team. The only contact he has is with a cat, and they've tried to punish him over the cat shitting outside its litter box. So like, you've got to clean out the cat's litter box, Julian. What's he supposed to do with the cat shit? Do you even like have a maid come in and remove the trash or something? He's being held under conditions that fundamentally violate his human rights, according to the Europeans, certainly, maybe less so in the United States. And then the U.S., to add insult to injury, wants more spurious charges. Like, remember when everyone thought Julian Assange was a rapist? Because of that one Swedish person who brought forth charges that eventually, after years and years of proclaiming that he was a sexual predator, so that everyone who doesn't like the so-called right-wing upswing in the Western world and ties that in with Assange because they've been propagandized and lied to by the corporate media, after they already started calling him a pervert and saying, oh, I bet he's sexually assaults everyone, he's just such a horrible rapist, then they decline the charges and say, oh yeah, after all, there's no reason to proceed. You know, we're dropping the charges because there's no evidence of this. Oh yeah, after years of defaming the dude, now we'll drop the charges, and that's just what they'll do here. The problem is they're going to charge him with crimes that legitimately virtually all other journalistic orders would be guilty of. They've all released potentially confidential or even secret information at various times, with or without redacting it in some cases. They've done this before. Obama was investigating several journalists from the AP as like enemies of the state and crazy shit like that. The other journos didn't even care. Meanwhile, you've got a national debate raging right now over whether an at-will White House press pass granted to one of 3 CNN journos that's in the White House press pool violates the concept of free speech and free press and the Fifth Amendment as well, for no apparent reason. This brief is being joined by CNN's supposed competitors, so that's a violation of free speech. And angry tweets are a violation of free speech. But it's not a violation of free speech for Julian Assange to be charged for supplying information that he himself never, in a first-hand sense, obtained anyway, like other journalists have done. That's okay. He can be charged, thrown in a gulag, they can fucking lock him away forever, even without charges. That's okay. Violates every possible concept of liberty that the Western world is based off of, but it's okay because it's Assange, and we all know he's an evil rapist, according to the Swedish government. Or he's a Russian pawn, according to the same neoliberals here that applauded the man and thought he was great when he was doing releases on the Iraq War. They thought it was wonderful until the day that Obama took office, and then all of a sudden he became an enemy, and the Republicans still largely think he is. Because they've still got to stick up his ass about that fact, or about Manning's releases, among other things, because they're a bunch of war-hawking morons. So I condemn this. I condemn it completely. I want to hear Trump weigh in. I want to hear what Trump has to say about it. I want him to come out and soothe my fears and tell me, hey, no, I still don't support charging him. This was done, I wasn't really involved in this. This is the DOJ doing stuff. Why do you think Sessions is gone? That'd be the greatest thing he could say. Yeah, why do you think I fired the dude? Do you think it was about the Mueller probe? No, it was a crazy Jeff, just, an outdated old man who thinks that the internet is a bad thing and so is weed. That's what I want to hear. And I want to hear the legacy media chime in too. They need to come out and condemn this. If they want to be taken seriously as having one fucking shred of ethicalness intact, they need to come out and they need to weigh in on it too and say, yeah, by the way, we've done things like Assange has done many times. We get information, third party drops it in our mailbox, fucking sends it in anonymously in a phone tip. Hey, yeah, I'm in this administration. I got this top secret inside scoop that some corruption has happened. And we talk about it. That's the same fucking thing that the Wikileaks does. Oh, but they're like Russian or something. So it's okay to violate their rights. Yeah, just like it's okay to deperson people online who do the same thing that you do, analyzing, predicting, looking through polls and statistics, doing everything that the so-called mainstream journos do. But it's okay because they don't have the journalism degree and they don't work for a 3-letter corporation, a multinational with billions of dollars in parent company holdings. Well, that's okay. It doesn't violate anyone's freedom. It's perfectly fine. No, I condemn it. Assange should not only be free to go, he should be given a compensation for all of the time wasted. They should give him $1 million for every year he's essentially been locked away in that embassy, and they should give him a full pardon. Full blanket pardon for any crimes past or present. In retribution, really, against the tyrants that have been holding him there this whole time. The UK's government. The fucking Ecuadorian government now, the new one. The US government, the Swedish government, they're all complicit in abusing this one person for doing what other journalists do. Probably because he didn't take their money, hush money payments. He published too much of that information. Normally, they give selective interview access and all sorts of other goodies to journalistic firms to keep them from doing too much investigation. So that they can wait and say, hey, you're getting a little bit too close to one of our associates here. Trust us, it's top secret and shit, so just back off. Here, I'll grant you a special interview. By the way, would you like to come to my wedding? It'll have $1,000 a bottle of champagne. It'll be a great time. I'll send you to the White House gathering, the special Christmas gathering, where you can have your bag of White House M&Ms and shit like that. That's what they do to keep these things under wraps. They wine and dine the journos. Julian Assange, I guess, decided not to take their wine and their money, decided to be credible. That's a big problem. That's why they want to deplatform the alt media too, because we'll say the things that CNN won't say, that Fox News won't say, and they never will because they're totally corrupt. That's about all. Peace out.